Guys, enjoy episode 3. It's gonna be different of Yalla Life. Yalla, let's go. Yalla Limited with Yalla Life podcast. Episode 3. Ciao.
Have a period of resentment where you knew, and it was so intuitive to you, and you try to harp on about it. You're like, hey, you don't have to say yes to everything. You can do this. You can approach life like this. And they go, nah. And you're like, come on. And you just feel frustrated to the core.
Yeah. I mean, but if I get frustrated, it's also stupid of me. Just let them think whatever they want, and let them, if they don't want, then fine. Let them continue with their miserable life, right? And live in the past, or think about the past and think only about all the losses they have or had.
Mm-hmm.
And don't look at the future and look at old pictures and all this stuff. I mean, an old picture is nice to have, but you should not look at old pictures all the time, right? Same if you have a relationship with a girl, right? And then very long relationship, you're very heartbroken because she break up, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
And then you keep looking at the old pictures. Does it make you feel better to look at the old pictures? No, it makes you even worse, right? So forget about the pictures. Put them in, burn them or delete them or put them away. That's it. And then maybe take them out after 20 years. Oh, that was funny, But living the past is no use,
What do you think about good and evil? So good and evil, like bad faith and good faith, but also something that's positive and negative, which is more subjective. Do you see a difference between those two categories? I don't know if I'm explaining myself well here. So like, feel a negative emotion or a positive one, but what's good for you isn't necessarily what's good for me. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
It's a strange paradigm there, but I think there's two different categories. I don't know if you see the same with that.
I mean, everybody has a different reality.
Mm-hmm.
And in every single sense, right? And like people can be, for example, obsessed that they want to be rich, for example, right? So then they just pursue money because they are from a poor family or they had a difficult youth and they think money will solve everything because their parents were struggling with money. And then they become richer and richer and richer and richer and more miserable and more miserable. And more miserable.
Yeah.
So the core problem, they never treat it. It's nothing to do that if I become rich, all my problems are gone. No, it's bullshit. You understand?
Yeah.
The core problem is with the youth, for example. I'm just giving one example, right? And if they would have solved that first, then all the richness would come by itself and they would even enjoy the money they would get, or they wouldn't even have to sell anything, or they wouldn't even have to work because it would come over by itself. Because if you're only imagine if you're a woman and you're really have really bad youth with a lot of all the bad things you can imagine. I don't need to name them all. And then you think, oh, I have to become rich, And then you start to become rich and you start to become rich and you realize there's nothing changing, right? Mm-hmm. But meanwhile, you have for example, sold your body, you have sold your soul, you have sold your heart and everything. And then you're destroyed and broken.
It's a
And you
logical
lost,
fallacy.
yeah, and you lost a lot of years, or maybe even life, right? Or health. Or if you could have chosen, say like, oh, maybe I have to solve my problem, and then solve your problem. No, okay, you can solve that problem in like 1 year or half a year or maximum 2 years. And then suddenly you feel good. And then all these good people come to you and give you offers for nothing. And you don't have to work, you don't have to sell your body, you don't have to think about money. It all comes by itself, given. Maybe even some really good guy who has 20 billion on his account gives you 1 billion. Happens like that. But if you are negative one, like before, who is selling the body and selling, it will never happen.